If you've ever bent down to tie your shoes or turned over in bed and suddenly the whole room started spinning, I want you to pause for a moment and just breathe with me. That feeling can be frightening, not painful, but unsettling. It makes you feel unsure of your own body, and that's often the hardest part. Now, here's the important thing I want you to hear right away. You're not broken and you're not alone. This kind of dizziness, often called vertigo, is incredibly common, especially as we get older. And in many cases, it's not dangerous and it's not permanent. In this video, I'm going to show you two things. First, something very practical you can do to reduce the spinning right away, safely and gently. No force, no guesswork. Second, and this is even more important, I'll explain why this happens in the first place, in a way that actually makes sense. When you understand what's going on inside your body, the fear settles, the tension drops, and you regain a sense of control. My goal here isn't to scare you, diagnose you, or overwhelm you. It's simply to help you stay calm, stay steady, and stay independent. So let's take this step by step together. Now that you've taken a breath and the fear has settled a little, let's gently talk about what's actually going on. The most common cause of vertigo is something called BPPV. It sounds complicated, but the idea behind it is actually very simple. BPPV stands for Benign Paroxysmal Positional Vertigo. The key word here is benign, meaning not dangerous. In plain language, BPPV means this: your dizziness is triggered by changes in head position. That's why it often happens when you roll over in bed, look up, bend down, or turn your head quickly. It's not random, and it's not all in your head. Inside your inner ear, you have a balance system that helps you know where you are in space. Most of the time, it works quietly in the background, and you never think about it. But with BPPV, a small part of that system gets confused. When you move your head, your brain receives mixed signals, and that's when the spinning sensation appears. Here's the reassuring part. BPPV does not mean your balance system is broken. It means something tiny is out of place, not damaged. That's an important distinction. When people understand this, something shifts emotionally. The dizziness feels less threatening. The body feels less unpredictable. And once fear eases, we can start talking about simple, practical ways to help your system settle again, calmly and safely. To really feel calm about vertigo, it helps to understand one simple thing. Your inner ear is not fragile. It's actually very clever. Think of it as your body's built-in balance guide, quiet, precise, and working for you every second of the day. Inside the inner ear, there's a small system whose only job is to tell your brain two things: where your head is and how it's moving. It does this using tiny sensors, fine hairs, and a soft, gel-like layer. Together they act a bit like a three-dimensional spirit level. Now, to make this system sensitive enough, the body adds something extra. Very small calcium crystals. These crystals are meant to sit gently on top of that gel. They're not there by accident. They add just enough weight so the sensors can pick up even the smallest movements. When everything is in the right place, you don't notice any of this. You turn your head, you stand up, you lie down, and your balance adjusts smoothly, without effort. But sometimes, especially as we age, a few of these tiny crystals become loose. They don't disappear. They simply drift into a part of the inner ear where they don't belong. And when you change the position of your head, those misplaced crystals move in a way the brain isn't expecting. So the brain receives mixed messages. One signal says, "You're still." Another says, "You're moving." That mismatch is what creates the spinning sensation. Here's the important reassurance. Nothing is collapsing, leaking, or failing. This is not damage. It's misplacement. And misplacement is something the body can often correct, especially when we understand what's happening and respond calmly. When people hear this, there's usually a quiet sense of relief. The dizziness stops feeling mysterious or threatening. It starts to feel explainable. And that understanding is what allows us to move from fear to confidence, to simple, practical action. Once people understand that the crystals are simply out of place, the next natural question is a quiet one. Why did this happen to me? And this is where I want to be very clear and very reassuring. In most cases, this has nothing to do with doing something wrong. It's not caused by sudden movement, bad posture, or lack of care. It's more about how the body changes over time. Those tiny calcium crystals are normally held in place by a delicate support system. Think of it as a gentle anchoring process. Not glue, not force, just balance. As we get older, that anchoring system can weaken slightly. This is especially common after midlife, and particularly in women after menopause. Not because the body is failing, but because the body's chemistry is shifting. What many people don't realize is that these crystals don't just stick on their own. They're stabilized by specific proteins, whose job is to keep calcium exactly where it belongs. And those proteins are actively regulated by the body. So when something interferes with that regulation, the crystals can slowly lose their hold. This doesn't happen overnight. It's usually gradual and quiet. That's why vertigo often seems to come out of nowhere, even though the changes have been building in the background for some time. The key idea here is this. The problem isn't the crystals themselves. The real issue is the system that keeps them stable. And once we start looking at what supports that system, we stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what does my body need right now? That shift in thinking is important because it moves us away from fear and toward understanding, calm, and choice. And in the next part, we'll look at one of the most important factors that influences this entire process, something many people are unknowingly low in. When we talk about what keeps those tiny crystals stable, there's one factor that comes up again and again, and it's often overlooked: vitamin D3. Most people think of vitamin D as the bone vitamin, something you hear about briefly, then forget. But vitamin D3 does far more than support bones. It acts more like a regulator, quietly guiding many systems in the body so they work together smoothly. One of its lesser-known roles is how it influences proteins that manage calcium. Not just how much calcium you have, but where that calcium is held and how stable it remains. Remember those proteins we talked about earlier? The ones that help keep the inner ear crystals gently anchored? Those proteins don't operate on their own. They respond to signals in the body. And vitamin D3 is one of the key signals. When vitamin D3 levels are low, that signaling becomes less precise. Over time, the anchoring system can lose some of its strength. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but just enough for tiny changes to start appearing. This is why vertigo often shows up quietly later in life, and why so many people who experience it are found to be low in vitamin D without ever knowing it. What's important here is not blame or alarm. Vitamin D deficiency is extremely common, especially in older adults. Less time in the sun, changes in skin chemistry, dietary gaps, all of these can play a role. And because the process is gradual, the body often adapts until one day it signals for attention. Here's the calming part. This isn't about forcing the body to do something new. It's about supporting something it already knows how to do. When vitamin D3 levels improve, the body can begin to restore better regulation. That includes the systems involved in balance. This doesn't mean symptoms disappear overnight. It's more like steady ground slowly returning under your feet. Understanding this changes the emotional experience of vertigo. It stops feeling random. It starts to feel logical. And when something makes sense, it becomes much easier to respond calmly and make gentle, informed choices that support your independence and confidence. In the next part, we'll talk about something equally important. Because vitamin D doesn't work alone. It needs a partner to do its job properly. At this point, many people nod quietly and think, all right, I take vitamin D already. And that's a very reasonable thought. But here's where things often become confusing and sometimes disappointing. Vitamin D doesn't work like a pain reliever. It's not something you take occasionally and feel an immediate effect. It works in the background by gradually improving how your body regulates certain systems. For that to happen, your body needs enough of it, not just a symbolic amount. Many standard recommendations were designed to prevent severe deficiency, not to support optimal function in systems like balance. So when someone takes a very small dose, their levels may rise slightly, but not enough to create meaningful change. This is why some people try vitamin D, don't notice a difference, and assume it doesn't work for them. In reality, the body may simply not have been given enough support to respond. There are also individual factors to consider. Absorption can vary, body weight can influence how vitamin D is distributed, metabolic health plays a role. None of this means something is wrong. It just means one-size-fits-all doses don't suit everyone. The important message here is a calming one. Lack of improvement doesn't mean lack of potential. When vitamin D3 is taken consistently, in an amount that actually meets the body's needs, its regulatory role has a chance to come back online. That process is gradual, not forceful. It's about restoring balance, not pushing the body. Understanding this helps people stop blaming themselves and start making informed, steady choices. And in the next part, we'll look at another key piece of the puzzle. Because even the right amount of vitamin D can't do its job properly without it. By now, it's clear that vitamin D3 plays an important role. But there's something many people don't realize. Vitamin D doesn't work on its own. It's more like a conductor than a solo performer. And without the right support, even a good conductor can't bring the music together. One of the most important partners vitamin D relies on is magnesium. Magnesium helps activate vitamin D and guides how calcium is handled in the body. Without enough magnesium, vitamin D can struggle to do the job it's meant to do. This is why some people take vitamin D faithfully, yet still don't feel the benefit they were expecting. Again, this isn't a failure. It's simply a missing piece. Magnesium plays a quiet but essential role in balance, nerve signaling, and muscle relaxation. And like vitamin D, it's commonly low in older adults. Then there's another nutrient that deserves a brief mention, vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 helps guide calcium to where it's useful and away from where it doesn't belong. You can think of it as a traffic guide for calcium, not increasing it, not decreasing it, just helping it go to the right place. When these three work together, vitamin D3, magnesium, and vitamin K2, The body is better supported in maintaining internal order, not by force, not by quick fixes, but by restoring coordination. This perspective can be very reassuring. It explains why people sometimes feel stuck despite doing the right things. And it reminds us that supporting health is rarely about one single solution. It's about completing the picture gently and thoughtfully. In the next part, we'll talk about timing and expectations, what improvement can realistically look like, and how to stay patient while your body settles. Once people understand the full picture, there's usually one quiet, practical question that follows. So, how long will this take? And the most helpful answer is a calm and honest one. When we're supporting the body at a deeper level, with vitamin D, magnesium, and beta regulation, changes don't happen overnight. This isn't about switching something off. It's about allowing the body to rebalance itself. For some people, improvements may begin within a week or two. For others, it could take a little longer. Both are completely normal. What matters most is consistency, not speed. As the internal environment becomes more stable, the balance system often becomes less reactive. Episodes may feel shorter, less intense, less frequent. Even small shifts are meaningful. And just as important, understanding the process reduces anxiety. When you're no longer waiting for something sudden to happen, your body can relax. Patience, in this case, isn't passive. It's an active choice to support your health steadily and thoughtfully. And while your body is settling in the background, there is something gentle and practical you can do if the spinning appears. That's what we'll talk about next. While your body is settling and rebuilding balance over time, there's something simple and gentle you can do to help. When the spinning appears, it's called the Epley Manoeuvre. This isn't a treatment in the dramatic sense. There's no force, no stretching, no pushing through discomfort. It's simply a sequence of calm head and body positions designed to help those tiny crystals move back to where they're meant to be. What many people find reassuring is this: you don't need special equipment, and you don't need to rush. You begin by sitting comfortably on your bed. Nothing tense, nothing hurried. You gently turn your head to one side, then lie back slowly, allowing your head to rest just slightly lower than your body. If the spinning appears, that's okay. You stay still, you breathe, you wait until it settles. Once things feel calm again, you move to the next position, slowly, deliberately, giving your body time to adjust at each step. The goal here isn't perfection, it's cooperation. Each position is held long enough for the balance system to realize that the crystals are no longer meant to be moving around. Many people notice relief right away. Others feel a gradual easing over the next few hours. Both responses are normal. What matters most is the emotional shift this creates. Instead of feeling caught off guard by vertigo, you now have something you can do. That sense of agency. I know what this is, and I know how to respond, often reduces anxiety just as much as the maneuver itself. And that calm response helps the body settle even faster. This is not about fixing yourself. It's about gently guiding your system back toward balance. In the final part, we'll bring everything together, so you can walk away feeling informed, steady, and confident moving forward. If you take one thing away from this video, let it be this: vertigo doesn't mean your body is failing. It means your body is asking for a little support. When you understand what's happening, fear loses its grip. The spinning feels less threatening, and your confidence begins to return. You now know that balance issues like this are often about regulation, not damage. And regulation can be supported gently and thoughtfully. Some of that support happens over time, as your body restores internal balance. Some of it can happen in the moment, using calm, practical steps you can do for yourself. Both matter. Staying steady isn't about avoiding movement or being careful all the time. It's about staying informed, relaxed, and responsive. That's how independence is maintained. Not by pushing through discomfort, but by understanding your body well enough to work with it. Take things at your own pace, be consistent, and trust that small, steady choices add up. Your body has more wisdom and resilience than it's often given credit for. And with the right support, it can continue to carry you confidently through daily life. Thank you for spending this time with me.